Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we have a 2005 Ford Ranger with the 2.3 liter engine. We're going to show you how to change the oil. This will work on Ford Ranger from 2001 to 2011 with the 2.3 liter. They're all going to be the same. To do this oil change, you're going to need to have some new oil. You're going to need to have a new oil filter, a socket wrench. I'm going to be using a 5/8 socket. You don't have to have oil filter wrench, but it makes your life a lot easier. I recommend having some rags, a decent flashlight. Also, you're going to need an oil pan to catch the oil. Okay, we're going to start out inside the truck. This is your temperature gauge here, and right now the needle's all the way to the left. It's cold. So basically you want to start the truck and let it warm up. Once the truck is at regular operating temperature, the needle will be straight up in the middle of the C and the H, but you want it probably halfway to the middle. So we're going to start it up. And let it warm up. So you're going to want to let it warm up for a few minutes before the needle gets to about halfway between the C and normal operating temperature. And the reason you want to do this is because the engine oil is thickest when it's not hot. So you're going to let the engine warm up, heat up the oil, and the viscosity of the oil is going to thin out, so that way when you drain the oil, it's going to come out a lot easier and a lot quicker. Okay, the truck is warmed up a little bit. The gauge is about halfway between the C and where a normal operating temperature would be. So you can go ahead and shut it off. Okay, we're going to start here. We're going to take off the oil cap. Set that aside. We're ready to go underneath the truck. We're going to take the drain plug out of the oil pan. Set that aside. We're going to make sure we open the breather hole and then make sure your cap's on tight. We got our socket and our socket wrench, flashlight, and a few napkins just in case. I've lifted my truck a little bit. Mine's lowered. My tires are still on the ground, so it's on the jack, so I'm okay with that. I'm going to put our pan under there and go underneath. Okay, once you're under the truck, you're going to locate your drain bolt. It's right here. Right at the front of the transmission where it mates up to the engine, there's your oil pan, and that's your drain bolt right there. Okay, to pull the drain bolt, you're going to move your oil pan out of the way, and you're going to want to rotate this towards the front of the truck. Put your socket and your ratchet in there. Push, there you go. And then it's going to be finger tight after you get it loose. Make sure your oil pan is set to catch all your oil. Have your napkins nearby just in case, and go ahead and loosen it by hand. When I loosen this, I push pressure back towards the driver's side front wheel. That way it kind of holds it in place, so whenever you get the last thread out, you can just pull the bolt away and usually save a mess. There. Pull it away. So we're going to let that drain. We'll clean off our drain plug and then get it ready to put back in. So the engine that we're working on, the 2.3 liter 4-cylinder, takes 3.8 quarts of oil. So last time I did my oil change, there's still some left over in here. So I'll use the rest of this first, and then I'll use whatever else I need from this jug, and then I'll save the rest of this for my next oil change. So now that the oil is draining out of the drain pan underneath the truck, let's go ahead and get the oil filter ready. The oil filter we're going to use is the Motorcraft FL910S. That's what this engine calls for. And we're going to want to lubricate this gasket right here with oil. So go ahead and dip your finger in oil, and then just rub it on the gasket and make sure it's all coated. Wipe off the rest of the oil off your finger, and then we're ready to install this on the engine. Okay, we're going to go back underneath the truck. We have our oil filter pliers. We got a few more rags. We cleaned off all the oil off the drain plug, and we got our new filter ready to go. So let's get back underneath here. Okay, the oil is barely dripping, so we're good to put the drain plug back in. Make sure you do this by hand. Don't put it on with the ratchet. You don't want to cross thread it and strip it out. Just tighten it up all the way by hand, as far as you can go. take a rag, wipe off the last bit of oil that dripped. Move your drain pan out of the way. Grab your ratchet. Go ahead and snug up the bolt. Just gotta snug it up, it doesn't have to be super tight. And now we're gonna move on to the oil filter. And grab it and rotate it. And then once you get that loose, make sure your oil pan is underneath of it. This is where it can get messy. Just loosen it off by hand. See the oil coming out? Make sure your pan's under you. It's going to be full of oil and heavy, so once you get loose, drop it down in the pan. And you're going to let this oil drain now, and then once it's done, you can put your new filter on. Okay, so not much oil is coming out, so we're going to go ahead and put on the new filter. It goes clockwise coming on and counterclockwise when you're taking it off. It doesn't have to be super tight, just go ahead and snug it up. And you're all set. Now you just want to wipe down this oil that splashed around. Clean it up as best you can, and then we'll go back above the truck. Alright, we got the drain plug tightened up. We got the new oil filter on. We're done underneath the truck. You can take it off the jack if you have it on it. And also you want to make sure you have your oil pan out from underneath of the truck. So we're going to come back to the engine now. And where we took the oil cap off, we're going to put our funnel in so we can add our new oil. Okay, getting ready to add the oil. If you pull the dipstick here, you can see on here, this is the minimum amount at this first dot, and that's the maximum amount of oil you want to have in it at the second dot here. So you're going to add about 3.8 quarts, maybe 3.5. Then you'll check it, see where it's at, and then you don't want to go above this dot here. So we'll put that back in the tube. Go ahead and start adding our oil. For this truck, I'm using Motorcraft oil, 5W30 synthetic blend. It works good for my climate. Just do some research and you can find out what oil would be best for your temperature, your climate zone. Okay, so we put roughly 3.8 quarts in there. We're going to take out the funnel, put the cap back on. And then we're going to start the truck. You're going to want to let it run for about 5 to 10 seconds. Let that oil circulate through the engine. Then we're going to let the engine Then we're going to let the oil drain back down, and then we'll check it again. Alright, I've cleaned off the oil off my oil pan. I poured it into these containers. Make sure you label it so you know it's your old oil. When you do that, when you pour your oil from here into the containers, just put a funnel in the hole here, and then you pour it in. Make sure you do it over cardboard. That way if you spill, it's really easy to clean this up. And I've got my old filter, I just put it in the box. And then I'll take these to my local auto parts store and you can recycle it there. Alright, it's been a few minutes. We're going to go ahead and pull the dipstick back out. Wipe it off really good. And we're going to stick it back in. You want to be between these two dots, probably closer to this dot. That's the full dot, the one on top. Stick that back in the tube. Alright. And we are right here on the dipstick, so we're good. You can add it to the second dot if you like, but you're okay right there. So we'll go ahead and stick this back in. Alright, we're all done. If you have any comments or questions, leave them below. Like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys in the next one.